Today, I'm going to talk about my research paper. The title is Effects of Reinforcement Without Extinction on Increasing Compliance with Nail Cutting and Systematic Replication. Before I begin, I like to talk about two vocabulary words, ASD and edible item. So ASD is individual with autism spectrum disorder. It's a disorder that causes a wide range of impairments in social communication. So the edible items is when a client likes something like a candy, like Starburst, for example, and the psychologists, the researchers, or the parents, or the aides use that to decrease the behavior. Let's talk about behavioral concept principles that are being examined. So first, we are talking about the reinforcement without extinction. They do not want to have the behavioral be extinct. So what they wanted to do was use the edible items for that behavior to decrease the behavior. They also talked that are being cut on your fingers or on your toes. Problem is that a study way before this one was being done by doing haircuts. This one kid had so much trouble cutting his own hair, sitting in the chair and cutting it because he would have a behavior problem. So what they did, they used the edible items that every time the kid sits for maybe 30 seconds, a minute, they use what he really likes. For an example, let's talk about maybe he likes Starburst candy. So they use the Starburst candy to tell him if you sit longer, here's a candy for you. And it actually helped him a lot. He could stay there for 160 seconds until the end of the study. Well, would this work for hygiene? And would this also work for getting their nails cut? So let's talk about the general methodology that they use. So they use 30-minute blocks. So that means for maybe twice a day or 3 times a day, they only did it for 30 minutes to try to cut their nails. Nothing longer than that, because sometimes kids can't sit there. And they use clippers, sanitized wipes for nails, the edible items, and this program called B Data Pro TM. So that shows what they use, and it's also questionnaire, so it's like a yes/no as well. And they also used applied analysis behavioral data as well, the participation. So the 2 participants are Stephen and Jackson. So let's talk about Jackson first. So Jackson is a 16-year-old, also diagnosed with ASD. He has a harder time communicating with people. So they use this Pro Quo to Go TM. So that is a picture right here in the right-hand corner for you guys, I'm hoping. And so he cannot communicate, so they use that. Stephen is 12 years old and also has ASD and can't communicate, so he also uses this device. And they found that the 2 edible items they really enjoy is the Reese's and the Whopper, so they use that in the study. So let's talk about the results that they used. So for the white dots, that's the escaped behavior. So that means that it's the behavioral that is actually happening. And the black dots are the nails that are being cut, also called the target nail. So they want the escaped behavioral to decrease. So they want that to be on the bottom and the nails that are being targeted to be on the top. So Jackson only got his toenails cut because that was harder for him. Then on the bottom is Stephen's results. And then Stephen had a harder time getting his fingernails cut. So the limitation. So they had to take a few of them, like for a few times for the participants, so they knew to get their nails cut. So they want to use that edible item. They told them, listen, this is, if you want that piece of candy, you got to get your nails cut, or at least one nail. The researchers needed to give definitions of the words, generalization, and spread out the purpose of the process. The follow-up is when they had Jackson's study. So let's go back to the results really quickly, if it lets me. There we go. So for Jackson, it says 1 to 2 months. So they actually, after 1 month, they looked at Jackson and see how he's doing, and he was doing well. So the next month, so 2 months, he did very well. But they did not do that for Steven when they should have. And the behavioral for both actually did not go back to where it was. So that was good. So the edible items did help them.